And the favourite Twist and Turn is 2-1 from 9 to 4. Made of Gold and Torrey Canyon 4-1. On 5-1 Mac the Knife. And here's an interesting situation. Grandmaster opened at 14s, was almost immediately gone to 10-1, so there's money there. Nana Buck 14-1. La Cruz 33-1 from 50s, and Stefano 66-1.
This will be a grueling test of stamina. The jockeys in the first said the ground was soft, could be heavy by big race time. Perfect Circle has already been withdrawn from the big Fillies, two-road Fillies race. The time for the first was 4.5 seconds slower than last year's winning time. It's very, very wet here at Ascot. It's the Old Mile over which the Royal Lodge Stakes is run, very often a pointer of the following year's derby in past years. And here is the favourite, Twist and Turn in colours of Sheikh Mohammed. This horse was the most impressive winner at Sandown last time, and he beat Assessor and Bob Zaire there. Well, Assessor won here yesterday with Bob Zaire third, so that form stands up really well.
Yes, he comes from a very fast family too, Julian, although he's proved that he's got enough stamina to win over a mile, and a very stiff one too. That was at Sandown when beating Assessor. As you say, he did it really well. He's 15-8 favourite from 2-1. A nice quality colt and a good action. Let's hope this ground hasn't got too soft for him to use it.
His market rival is Torrey Canyon, the son of Gone West, who won the Acomb Stakes at York, where, as we all know, the ground was on the slow side. He beat Nearlini there, having looked beaten in the last furlong, gave Nearlini 11 pounds, and before that he'd broken his maiden here at the July meeting.
Sky Hunter, Alflora and Torrey Canyon on the far side. They're coming down towards the furlong pole, and Torrey Canyon's asserted himself now. Torrey Canyon from Alflora and Sky Hunter, with Hatters Mill putting in a tremendous run towards the stand side, but Torrey Canyon has the advantage. Torrey Canyon, as they race up towards the line, Torrey Canyon wins it from Hatters Mill second, Alflora third.
Well, although he'd had the benefit of that race, in fact, when he went to the Acomb at York and beat Neodini by a neck, in fact, he was running very greenly still, and I think both those races will put him about right. He's 4-1 from 7-2. He is quite a shouldery horse, and I noticed when Pat Edery picked him up to go and beat Neodini that he took a little bit of time of doing it, and he was galloping a little bit on his front end. I'm just wondering if this ground is not going to be a little bit against him today, but he's proved that, in fact, he can handle softish ground. I wonder if he's going to handle this, which surely must be getting heavy now. You can see the rain really pouring down as these two-year-olds walk round at the mile start.
And the wind's really intensifying. Horrible conditions for two-year-olds. But here's one of the stronger-looking members of the field, Made of Gold, in many ways the most interesting runner, because his last run was a 5-length defeat by Arazi, the champion two-year-old in France, in the Group 1 Prix de la Salamandre. So this will be a fascinating pointer to the French form. Before that, he was second to Dr. Devious in the Lançon Champagne Stakes at Goodwood.
Easy winner of a maiden at Ripon, and as you say, his 2 seconds at Newmarket behind Showbrook, and Dr. Devious at Goodwood, a solid form. And Arazi and the Salamand at Longchamp was a good run because he tried to make all the running that day, but Arazi went past him and beat him 5 lengths. If he should run a good race today, which I think the connections think he's going to on this ground, well, that's going to pay tribute to that Boutin trained colt in France. Boutin, Monsieur Boutin thinks that he's probably the best two-year-old he's trained for a very, very long time.
Number 3 is Mac the Knife, owned by Sir John Astor, trained by Dick Hearn, and in my opinion this horse has got the second best form of the race on the strength of his 4th to Chickmond in a very close finish to the Solaria Stakes 4 weeks ago. That form's held up. Seattle David Ellsworth Seattle Dancer horse has come out and won. Before that he won at Newmarket by Chris out of the Dancer, who was a green Dancer mare. I don't know whether this horse would be favoured by the ground or not.
She herself was third in the Oak, so quite a useful performer. And as you say, he's done very little wrong on the race course, Julian. He looked well in the paddock, and he's sure to improve. He's the improving type. He's by that great miler, Chris. And, well, I think Willie Carson quietly fancies his chances here. Very famous colours, this, is Sir John Astor. And, well, carried by many, many good horses. What a stud he had a few seasons ago when he had the mighty Ambiguity and the likes of her.
Now here's a very big, strong, big-topped horse, and the market's very much in his favour, 14-1 to 8-1, and it'll be very interesting whether he handles the ground or not. Looking at him, it's hard to know whether or not he has grown into his strength yet, because he is a very big horse indeed. He looked, I must say, he raced a little bit, I thought, on the weak side at Newbury. Hasn't yet discovered a third gear, but if it becomes a slog, well, he just might gallop on, and stamina is going to be the most important thing here.
He looks a lot stronger today than he did in the paddock at Newbury. But he's out of Ladies Bridge, who's by Saraiva, so whatever he does as a 2-year-old, I think he's going to improve from 2 to 3. He's by Saddle as well, so he's a beautifully bred horse. And looking at him there, he's got a lot of quality. Alan Monroe in the colours of Prince Fahad Salman. And, well, everybody in Europe will be watching those colours a week tomorrow, in fact. And just imagine what's riding on this young rider's shoulders. Because he'll be on Generous in the Arc. And let's go and see if there's much more money for Grandmaster.
Well, Grandmaster is on 8-1, but it's almost halved its original price. Twist and Turn, 7-4 favourite. Made of Gold, 4-1 still. On 92, Torrey Canyon, that's edged out a bit. Mac the Knife, 6-1 from 11-2. Grandmaster, 8-1. Nanabuck, 14s on 33-1. La Crue and Stefano is 66-1.
Made of Gold, trained by Mohammed Mubarak, is the best turned out horse. His groom is Paul Everly, who wins £100. Congratulations to him for starting to be installed. That's John Peter.
And many of the crowd here watching the horses getting installed on Star Vision, which is located in the Silver Ring and which has been sponsored by Ascot in aid of the International League for the Protection of Horses. And the crowd's now seeing Pat Edery being installed. On Torrey Canyon, nearest to us, is Premier Krug and Michael Roberts. Made of Gold, with his white face over on the far side to go in. Lester Piggott on Nanabuck. 7-4 Twist and Turn, 4 Made of Gold and Torrey Canyon, 8-1 bar those 3. That's Mac the Knife who goes in. This is Stefano. A mile, of course, on the round course, this Royal Lodge William Hill Stakes. And that's it, they're running. Twist and Turn over on the far side with Grandmaster in second. Then Premier Krug on the inside with Mac the Knife and Made of Gold on the outer. Torrey Canyon and Nanabuck the last 2. And Mac the Knife just going on now. Mac the Knife from on the near side. Premier Krug coming up to challenge him. Then that big horse Grandmaster. A little wide of those to the right of the picture as we see them now is Twist and Turn. So on the left, it's Premier Krug. Between horses is Mac the Knife. Then Grandmaster, Twist and Turn towards the outer. And they're giving the rails a wide berth on that straight, but moving in towards the fence a little bit as they race towards the home turn. And Willie Carson looks over his right shoulder, sees if it's safe to move over to the rail on Mac the Knife, as he does, and it's Mac the Knife and Grandmaster disputing it, these two from on the outside. That's the right of the picture, Twist and Turn, the favorite. Mac the Knife, Grandmaster and Twist and Turn, these 3. Torrey Canyon's making a bit of progress towards the right of the picture, and Made of Gold is not out of it either. And it's a wide open race now as they race down towards the furlong pole. Mac the Knife on the far side, but being challenged by Made of Gold, and Made of Gold is going on now. And it's Made of Gold who's stretching clear as they race up towards the line. Torrey Canyon's keeping on well, and Mac the Knife is trying to renew his challenge, but Made of Gold is holding him as they come to the line. Made of Gold is going to win it as they come to the line. Made of Gold is the winner, and Mac the Knife is second. It's very close for third, with Twist and Turn just getting up to head Torrey Canyon probably. Then the fading Grandmaster and Stefano and Nanabuck, and last in fact was Premier Krug. And so the result of the Royal Lodge William Hill Stakes is first, number 4 Made of Gold, owned by the Ecurie Fustok, trained by Mohammed Mubarak and ridden by Tony Cruz. This horse, of course, having paid a terrific compliment to the Prix de Salamande winner Arazi, by whom he was beaten 5 lengths. Second was number 3, Mac the Knife, owned by Sir John Astor, trained by Major Dick Hearn and ridden by Willie Carson. And officially it's a photo for 3rd place, with probably Twist and Turn just having got up to beat Torrey Canyon. Arazi immediately is quoted 12-1 from 16-1 by William Hill for the 1992 2,000 guineas.
Yes, this will be very pleasant viewing for Francois Boutin in France. And Tony Cruz dropped him in today after first the groomed answer and then Mac the Knife made the running. Always in the van was Grandmaster, who once again proved to be a little bit one-paced when the chips were down. Torrey Canyon came with a chance on the outsider and a strong drive from Pat Eddery. But Tony Cruz has taken the lead just short of the furlong marker and run on really well.
You say he's changed his style of running. He tried to make all of the running at Longchamp, and today he's held him up and done the job beautifully. Tony making a name for himself now. Won the Irish St. Leger earlier this season and a double yesterday at Haydock. He rode this colt beautifully, and as you see on this rain-softened ground, he loved it, Julie, and he really lengthened all the way to the line.
And look at how the first 4 have drawn clear of Grandmaster, and Mac the Knife battles on really well under a strong drive from Willie Carson in the closing stages. Another 100 yards, it might have been quite close, but Made of Gold has kept going, the son of Green Forest, handled the ground very well. And look at the favourite coming back at the death and probably just runs the Torrey Canyon out of 3rd place. You can see here, just as Pat Eddery made his challenge, his horse drifted in a little bit there. And this Made of Gold also, as he hits the front there, he just wanders a little bit to the right, but he's clear of the favourite. Now he goes back a little bit to the left, so Steve Cawthon didn't have the clearest run here, but he'd already had his chance, dropped out, and he's just run on really past a beaten horse to snatch 3rd place. But just running away a little bit in the last 100 yards, Made of Gold. All tired horses, but the first 4 well clear, and they're all good, but obviously not within 10 pounds of Arazi.
A lovely day for Paul Eberle, Made of Gold's lad, because he's already won the £100 of the best turned out horse. Made of Gold, the 4-1 winner, top rated by Timeform, I noticed. And a 15th winner of the season for Mohammed Mubarak, doing very well indeed. Number 38 for Tony Cruz. The full starting prices as follows.
First number 4, Made of Gold, 4-1. Second number 3, Mac the Knife, 6-1. A photo between numbers 8 and 7. That's Twist and Turn and Torrey Canyon for 3rd place.
In the betting between the Second Set and Kuyonga, but Second Set is the favourite at the moment, 3-1, and Kuyonga is 100-30. Hector Protector is on 6-1 from 13-2, so it's come in just slightly. Sikiston 8-1 with Makadama, 10-1 Shadaid, 11-1 from 10 Selkirk, and 20-1 from 25's 49 days. Lagrange Music 50-1.
Fair to say that, with the exception of Mystico, these are the top milers in Europe. Normally this would decide the 1 mile championship of Europe, but the ground is now very, very soft indeed, and noted opposition to the favourite Second Set. The parade, headed by the American challenger, 49 days, who's won over $600,000 worth of prize money in his own country, and was broken by that remarkable man, Monty Roberts, ridden by Pat Valenzuela. 2, one of the rank outsiders, Lagrange Music, in the colours of Mr. David Thompson, trained by James Fanshawe. His best success, his best race this year was winning the Van Geest Criterium Stakes. Walter Swinburne's the jockey. This is the springer in the market, Sikiston, ridden by Michael Roberts, winner of the Queen Anne Stakes here at the Royal Meeting, but has shown all his best form abroad on soft or heavy ground. It's very soft now. The champion miler of France, Hector Protector, winner of the French 2,000 guineas and the Prix Jacques Le Marois, disappointing in his last run in the Prix de Moulins, now carrying the colours of Mr. Xenia Yoshida, having originally been owned by Stavros Niarchos. This is Mukaddama, the choice of Willie Carson. He ran the race of his life last time in the Prix de Moulins, beaten only a short head by Priolo. Different tactics were used that day. A lot more use was made of him. This is the favourite, second set. Winner of the Sussex Stakes. His only defeat was here in the St James's Palace Stakes. Frankie Dettori is his jockey. He won it last year. So Krug. He ran the best race of his career last time out in the Milcars Temple Fortune Stakes at Kempton, trained by Ian Balding, ridden by Ray Cochrane. The great Irish filly Kuyonga, winner of the Irish 1,000 guineas and winner of that fabulous battle with Shadaid in the Coronation Stakes at the Royal Meeting. And Shadaid herself, winner of the 1,000 guineas, but she's lost her way since then, placed in the Oaks, second in the Coronation Stakes, placed in the Sussex, placed in the Ladbroke Sprint, now back to a mile from 6 furlongs. She's had a long, tough season. Willie Carson's rejected her, but Pat Eddery fits neatly into the saddle. So a wonderful, top-class international field in this wonderful setting, spoilt only by the appalling weather. There must have been almost half an inch of rain already in the last couple of hours. And it's really getting into the ground. The first prize, over £221,000.
And as you say, Julian, some of the best milers in Europe, and also one from North America as well. 49 a days, who's leading the parade. The sheet comes off Hector Protector. Freddie Head just getting a reassuring few words from his French lads. They'll turn now in front of the stands, walk back up to the winning post, and then canter down to the start in the Old Mile. Behind are 49 a days, turns, Lagrange music. Sickiston, as Julian was saying, loves the soft ground. Really, the heavier the better for this bay horse, this 5-year-old by Leofan, who has come in for quite a lot of late money in the market. Hector Protector, Chestnut Colt by Woodman, and has only beaten twice in his career, in fact, and that was in the Epsom Derby, where he didn't see the 1.5-mile trip out, and also in the Moulin, his last start in France, when he was a disappointing out of the money. But I think if he recovers his form today on this softer ground, he'll make them all go.
Not all these horses enjoy the parade, and the second set certainly getting on his toes, to starting to sweat around his neck, as you can see, shaking his head about. And he's the form horse for what it's worth on this ground, but of course he hasn't run on this ground, that's the important thing. But certainly on past performances, he's the horse you'd expect to win, judging from his success from Shadaid in the Sussex Stakes.
Coming down towards the furlong pole in second set with the advantage from Shadaid and Priolo for France. Second set, the leader from Shadaid. Priolo is third. Inside the final 150 yards. Second set being challenged by the filly. Second set is holding Shadaid as they come to the line. Second set is going to win it at the line. Second set has won it. Shadaid and Priolo in a photo for second and third. Well, second set covered the ground, as you could see there, a really lovely long stride. I just wonder how he's going to get over this rain-softened ground. But here, in fact, in the St James's Palace Stakes, when he was second to Marju, I thought he was a little bit unlucky there. He was denied a run when it really mattered. And in that class of racing, if you once get stopped with under a furlong to run, it's a job to pick that ground back up. Just nicely on his toes there, as you see. He's not sweating. The staff have left the sheet well over his loins there to keep him nicely warm. He's taken a lovely interest. I wonder if the ground will affect his chances here today. Canters off nicely in the hands of Lanfranco Dettori, who's bid in for his 78th win of the season here, and this will be his biggest success of the season if he should achieve it.
Well, it's the Colts v the Fillies, the 4-year-olds v the 3-year-olds again, and certainly the main danger to second set looks to be the 3-year-old filly Kuyonga. There she is, goes down really well, really controlled for Warren O'Connor, and she won on soft ground as a 2-year-old. and she's very, very good. But as well as that, as she showed at Royal Ascot, she's also very brave.
Coming towards the 2 furlong pole now from Kuyonga, the Irish 1,000 guineas winner, but being chased all the time by Shadaid. Coming there on the outside, Willie Carson now as Kuyonga hits the front from Shadaid. In second, it's Kuyonga and Shadaid now, the big two as they race into the closing stages. It's Kuyonga on the far side, Shadaid on the near side, Warren O'Connor on the far side, they're on the near side, Willie Carson, there's very little between them, it's just Kuyonga. Kuyonga's won it for Ireland from Shadaid second.
Well, two very, very brave fillies there going to the line, Kuyonga and Shadaid. Kuyonga just getting the better of it there. Well, she's had some of those hard races all season. I wonder if they've told. It looked in the paddock as though it hadn't. She looked really well, looked a picture, in fact, and a credit to her trainer, Michael Courts.
Yeah, and she was really good in the Matron Stakes at the Curragh a couple of weeks ago, one without being touched with the whip. Willie Carson has made what many people found a surprising choice in choosing Muqaddamah, but probably not. This horse handled the ground pretty well when he was touched off in the racing post. I don't think it was the ground that beat him that day. He possibly got there a little bit too soon. Anyway, he didn't get home. That was the bottom line. Willie Carson, in fact, rode him well up with the leaders in the Prix de Moulins 3 weeks ago at Longchamp, and he was only just touched off by Priolo, the horse who'd been so unlucky in the Prix Jacques Le Marois. That was his best run anyway, so whether Willie's made the right choice, we'll see very shortly.
The Moulin, always a top-class mile race, used to be run on Arc Day at Longchamp. They've shifted it now. It's rather a shame, I always thought, but as I say, he always draws the best horses in France. And, well, he ran a super race there. I think Willie, who's one of the best judges, I think when he has to choose between 2 or 3 horses in a race, he's very seldom wrong, Willie. Do you think he wonders that this Son of Stormbird is just on the way up, whereas Shadaid, who turned in a disappointing run over 6 furlongs at Paddock, I wonder if he thinks that she's just on the way up.
And this is Hector Protector, who a month ago would have been just about favourite for this race, because he's an outstanding miler, a genuine classic horse, but he did run a particularly disappointing race in the Prix de Moulins, rather suggesting as though the edge had gone off him. He finished only 8th at Priolo, but his early season form was outstanding, and he was the champion Tour de France. He won the Tour Triple Crown there.
He's by Woodman. How well Woodman did last year, produced one good colt after another, but he's a lovely horse, this, as you see. I saw him win the Criterium at Longchamp as a 2-year-old. He lengthened then, looked a very high-class colt. I was a bit surprised that Francois Boutin ran him in the Epsom Derby, actually, because he was looking like a miler all the way down through his career. Well, to stretch him to 1.5 miles, I don't think it does him any good. Well, but he did bounce back with a very good win after that, but as Julian was saying, on his last start at Longchamp, he was very, very disappointed. But in the Jacques Le Marois at Deauville, he was very impressive.
And another classic winner, Shadaid, who looked quite outstanding in the spring, but she's been campaigned bravely. And there's no doubt that that run in the Oaks taxed her to the limit, racing over 1.5 miles. A mile, I would say, is almost certainly her distance, possibly 1.25 miles. But she's kept going remarkably well, and she hasn't run a bad race yet, but she's got pretty warm today.
She's got lovely quarters on her. And in fact, she's a really beautifully made filly, this, and I think Pat will be biding his time perhaps on her today, trying to settle her in last, and just waiting to see if the others do capitulate in the straight, and they produce this filly. She hasn't got the lightning acceleration that I thought she was going to have when she won the Fred Darling at Newbury, but she takes a bit of time to warm up to that run, but when she does find it, she can eat the ground up if she's back to her best. I don't think really that the ground will stop her. It's whether they've got her back to her best over this distance.
The American challengers just arrived at the start. Of course, they go down rather differently to post in America, led by ponies, and so Pat Valenzuela took this fairly headstrong customer down pretty quietly to the start.
Young Pat Venezuela, In fact, rode his first winner in 1978, and since then he's ridden 1,971 winners. As you see there, 49 a days is 20 to 1 from 25 to 1. I watched him win a race in America, and well, it was pretty sloppy. There was a lot of water on the track, but I don't know whether he's ever had to cope with really breaking through grass surface and going in some 2 or 3 inches, because out there usually you get a little bit of splash, and underneath the base gets stays a little bit hard. But he's got a lovely head, hasn't he? He's by Conquistador Cielo, and he's quite an intelligent horse. You can see there they've got a D snaffle on him, and it's a vulcanized one. He's just playing happily with it. I think they've got another bit inside that as well. And I think maybe that his tongue might be just tied down, unplaited. And, well, I wonder how he's going to cope meeting the best milers in Europe. And he's got lots of things against him, really, the first time that he's raced on British turf.
I see he's only got 1 pair of goggles there, hasn't he? The Americans sometimes have 5 or 6, Jim, don't they? Or has he got more than 1?
I think, Julian, he's got a couple of pairs, but as you say, they usually have 4 or 5 on the dirt and pull them down one after another. I never forget, I had about 3 rides on the dirt one day when I was out there riding in the International, and I went to pull the first set down, and down come the other 4, and that was the end of me.
I don't think Pat thinks you need him anyway, because one set of riding instructions is to jump the gate and take 10 lengths out of them. So.
He has got a very, very good reputation for a quick starter too, which you need in America. You've got to hit that gate running.
And here's how they bet.
And second set, 3 to 1 still the favourite. Kuyonga 7 to 2. Hector Protector 11 to 2. Sikiston is on 7 to 1 from 8. Mukadama, we've just seen 8 to 1, 9 to 1 Shadaid. That's coming from 10 to 1. And Selkirk is 11 to 1 from 12. 49 a days, 20 to 1. On 50 to 1, the Grange Music.
There is Sikiston, who finished only 7th behind Priolo in the Prix de Moulins. But the ground was pretty lively that day, and these are his conditions. And he's been back down from 20 to 1 this morning, and this is certainly the horse who's going to be best suited by this change in the ground. When
he beat Rami in the Queen Anne Stakes here at Royal Ascot, he did a really good job, because he had to battle in the last half furlong, and he lengthened and went at it well. He's a nice horse. He's got a bit of ground to make up on second set on their running in the Sussex Stakes. He was 4th, in fact, behind second set, but the ground was riding fast on that occasion. He's got his ground here today. He's 7 to 1 from 8 to 1. The money's coming on him gradually, and has been all morning. And well, it's still a little bit of drizzle here and a little bit of wind. You can see Freddie Head on Hector Protector's lost his cap on the way down to the start. So Peter, he's got a black hat now. Here we going into stall 8, in fact. They draw from the left here, so he's got the rail to run, but as you saw in our last race, in fact, that they were galloping away from the rail until they hit the turn for home, and then they dropped in and ran up the rail all the way. There is the American horse, 49 a days, goes into stall 1.
Closest to us is Selkirk, the horse who ran the race of his life last time at Kempton. He'd had an operation before that to ease discomfort that he had, and that's been a turning point for him. I think that Sexton's going to be the last one. Yes, Peter.
That's it. They're all installed. Under orders, and then away. 49 a days breaks fast. The American over on the far side, 49 a days, and second set right up there with him on the near side. And Makadama comes third. Then comes Kuyonga 4 and Shadaid. And making ground on the inner now is Hector Protector, being followed by Sikiston. And it's 49 a days, the leader, from Hector Protector on the inside. Then comes Makadama, and then Sikiston, and second set has dropped back a little bit with Shadaid on the outside. And then Ireland's Kuyonga. And Shadaid running very wide of the remainder towards the right of the picture as we see them at the moment. The grey, 49 a days right up there with Hector Protector. And then in the centre of the course comes Macadama with the sheepskin noseband of Kuyonga showing quite prominent too, with second set just ahead of her. Swinging across now towards the stand side is Shadaid and Pat Edry, who've just about taken it up now from 49er Days. 49er Days, though, battling on well on the inside. Shadaid with the lead, though, from Kuyonga for Ireland, who moves into second as they race into the home turn now. And it's Shadaid from Kuyonga. Second set is cruising in third. 49er Days in four. They're coming past the 3 furlong marker now in this Queen Elizabeth II Stakes, and Shadaid is the leader, being pressed all the time by Kuyonga in the sheepskin noseband for Ireland. Just behind them comes second set, and 49er Days under pressure. Selkirk's coming there quite strongly. It's Shadaid from Kuyonga, these old Royal Ascot rivals, with second set putting in a tremendous run. Then comes Selkirk, finishing fast on the near side. It's Shadaid on the far side, but Selkirk and Kuyonga pressing all the time. Selkirk is beginning to take it up now as the race towards the line. Selkirk is going to win it and at the line. Selkirk is the winner. Kuyonga is second, Shadaid is third, and 4 second set. 5 came 49er Days, a good run by him, then Hector Protector, then Sickiston, then Lagrange Musique, and Mukadama was last of the 9 runners. Officially it's a photo for second place, but there's no doubt about the winner of the 221,000 of the winner, Queen Elizabeth II Stakes. It's number 7, Selkirk, owned by Mr. George Strawbridge, trained by Ian Balding and ridden by Ray Cochrane, and a photo between those old rivals, Kuyonga and Shadaid, with once again Kuyonga for Ireland probably just getting the better of Shadaid with second set fourth.
Well, what a difference the surgeon's knife makes, because this horse, well, he's had a metamorphosis. Turning in only 5th or 6th straight there, 6th or 6th place in the straight, and really travelling, while up front, Shadaid, well, Pat Edry, he'd been the bandmaster, he'd led them away, and then he led them back again. Kuyonga, Warren O'Connor, the first to go for his whip here, but looked like mastering Shadaid. Second set comes with every chance, but couldn't quicken in the ground. And now here comes Ray Cochrane, who cuts them down on this colt, Selkirk, who's made such remarkable improvement.
It was a beautiful ride by Ray Cochrane. He had him off the pace until they straightened up, and then he asked him for his run. And look at him, how he lengthens there and sticks his head out. The filly Shadaid, she'd given an all until the last 150 yards with Kuyonga. This was the Coronation Stakes all over again at Royal Ascot. But just have a look at this colt. He's really gone right up to his best here, because he stayed on and left these 2 fillies. But don't forget, these 2 fillies have had a real hard season this year. They've had some rare old battles, and Selkirk is a fresh horse, and does he show it today? A triumphant wave from Ray Cochrane as he passes the post, some length and a half in front of, I think, Kuyonga second, with Shadaid third.
Selkirk by Sharpen Up, out of Any Edge, who was by Nebbiolo. Winner of 3 of his 8 races. He had an impediment which once it was discovered and settled, obviously enabled him to return to his sparkling best 2-year-old form. He made a dramatic debut as a youngster at Goodwood, and this is the real Selkirk. He's owned by an American, and there was certainly no disgrace in the way 49er Days ran. He was 5th, I made him, just ahead of the champion European miler for a long while, Hector Protector. Everybody here was hoping to see the sporting effort of the connections of 49er Days rewarded, because games played with horses invariably generate a better atmosphere than those played with sticks and balls, and I think everybody will have been satisfied with the grey and delighted with his performance. But this is a brilliant winner of this magnificent race, worth 221,000 to the winner. Selkirk had only won 46,000, only 46,000, is one of the least prize money earners in the field. But the marvelous winner. The starting prices as follows.
First, number 7, Selkirk, 10-1. Second, number 8, Kuyonga, 7-2. Third, number 9, Shadaid, 9-1.
Still 3 to come from Ascot as we
If you can buzz in this sort of weather over the shock success of Selkirk. Well, I think it was a shock to most of us. We hadn't really considered him, even though he's a horse who's just coming to himself in the Queen Elizabeth II Stakes. It was a great race to watch. Commentator Peter O'Sullivan.
Who moves into second as they race into the home turn now, and it's Shadaid from Kuyonga. Second set is cruising in third, 49 a days in four. They're coming past the 3 furlong marker now in this Queen Elizabeth II Stakes, and Shadaid is the leader, being pressed all the time by Kuyonga in the sheepskin noseband for Allen. Just behind them comes second set, and 49 a days under pressure. Selkirk's coming there quite strongly. It's Shadaid from Kuyonga, these old Royal Ascot rivals, with second set putting in a tremendous run. Then comes Selkirk, and he's finishing fast on the near side. It's Shadaid on the far side, but Selkirk and Kuyonga pressing all the time. Selkirk is beginning to take it up now as the race towards the line. Selkirk is going to win it and at the line. Selkirk is the winner. Kuyonga is second, Shadaid is third, and 4 second set, 5K.
A brilliant win for Selkirk, and a few moments ago, Ian Balding, his trainer, representing Mr. George Strawbridge, the popular American owner, received the winner's trophy, the gold trophy from Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Kent. Magnificent prize, in addition to prize money of £221,000, and I suspect the most valuable prize won in the career of Ray Cochrane. Or is it, Ray? Is that your biggest one?
No, I don't think it's the biggest prize money, no. I think the Irish Derby was about 500,000 or something like that. I think
I was only wrong by about 300,000.
It's very nice to have.
It was very nice to have, and a terrific ride. Well, how did the race go for you?
For me, it went perfect for me. I mean, there was plenty of pace on, and all I wanted to do was keep my horse covered up and not be there in front too soon. And I was nicely covered up, just coming to the turn, I just edged out. And as soon as I asked him to go, he just took off, you know. And then from halfway up the straight, I thought, I hope I'm not going to be in front too soon, you know. But he picked him up very, very nicely, you know. When he goes to the front, he just tends to hide a little bit.
Pat had sort of led the band, as it were, on Shadaid, and it ran very, very wide indeed. But when you've come to tackle these fillies, well, your horse has really put his head down.
Yeah, he's picked him up well, you know, and he's kept going all the way to the line, you know.
Very brave. And Kuyonga, just for a moment, I mean, she looked as though she was going to run on. But, well, your horse is a much stronger horse now, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. The longer the season's gone on, the stronger he's got, you know. And I think this is his proper trip. This is his proper trip, too.
Little bit of orchestrating there as you pass the post. But the turning point, really, for him was the operation he had a few weeks ago.
Yeah, Mr. Baldwin found out that one of his testicles was up inside him and hadn't dropped properly, so they operated on him, and they took it out. And the horse, it must have been in a lot of pain in his previous races with it. If you'd ask him to stretch out, he'd stretch out for maybe 100 yards, and he would just stop, so he would, you know. And after he'd done the operation, Mr. Baldwin, he told me that he thought the horse had improved a lot. But I said, if he's improved a lot, he's going to be a very good horse, because he didn't need to improve a great deal at all to be a good one, you know.
All right, many congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Any of 4 could be favourite here. Culture Vulture is favourite now, 9-4. Midnight 11-4. Fern 3-1, and Mystery Play 4-1. Super Serena 12-1. On 50s, Party Sighted, and Baja Lilies 100-1.
Well, this is the deposed favourite, Midnight Air, who won the Mayhill Stakes with Doncaster very impressively, having won previously at Yarmouth. The runner-up that day was Fern, who was a little bit unlucky in running, but in my opinion, this Daughter of Green Dancer was the winner on merit.
Nice filly, Julian. She's by Green Dancer, as you say. Is she going to handle this ground, though? We saw 1 or 2 of the runners in her other race floundering a little bit. It's got very wet, very sloppy. But, well, she went down quite nicely. I think she might come back on it. Well, I think the one she's got to beat, in fact, is one that beat her earlier on in the season, Mysterious Play.
Well, we'll see, but the present favourite is Culture Vulture there, number 2, just walking right, and the going has now been changed officially to soft. Culture Vulture won first time out at Newbury when there was some give in the ground. That was on Lock-in Stakes Day. Then was beaten a little bit unluckily here in the Queen Mary Stakes, objected to the winner but didn't get it, but then was brilliant at York and allowed the stakes once again. There was cut in the ground, and it's been no surprise that this horse has been back from 7-2 this morning to a 2-1 favourite.
She beat Blister on that occasion, and she did it well. She quickened up and went through. As you say, there was a little bit of cut in the ground, not so much as there is today. But she's quite a small frame filly, this, and I think she's going to handle the going really well. So do a lot of other people. She's 9-4 in the betting at the moment.
Runs in the colours of Chris Wright. the music business. There in the background is Party Sighted, Paul Kellaway, followed by Fern. Fern was the filly who was unlucky in the Mayhill Stakes, the daughter of Shirley Heights and Free Guess. Free Guess certainly went well with a little bit of cut in the ground, but she was disqualified that day at Doncaster, having caused interference. She's a half-sister to Shamshire, who won this race 12 months ago.
She's still looking for a first win, but what she is, she's bred to see every yard of this mile out today, as you say, by Shirley Heights, had a Free Guess by Be My Guest, and quite a lot of the Be My Guest progeny do like a bit of give in the ground. There she is, she's a nice filly, she looks pretty fit to me, and she's got Lanfranco de Torre in the saddle.
We've got really good fillies this year, Luca, including the Nuria filly who won the last race here yesterday. Looked a classic horse. Mystery Play, the other runner with a chance, I think is already installed in stall 3. Beat Midnight Air first time up at Newmarket, but had a very, very hard race that day. I think Midnight Air will probably beat her this time. Culture Vulture, 9-4 favourite. Midnight Air, 11-4, 3-1 Fern, 4-1 Bar, those three. And I think this is going to be it. Baja Lilies there in the yellow colours, black striped sleeves. Here's Peter.
That's it. The rain washing across the course as they jump off. Over on the far side, Culture Vulture taking quite a good hold, and on the near side now, Super Serena takes it up. Super Serena going on from Baja Lilies is coming to join her. Then on the far side is Midnight Air. Just in behind them come Mystery Play, and it's Baja Lilies, the leader now from Super Serena. Then Mystery Play, who's making ground on the inside, and in fact going second. Close to the lead is Party Sighted. But still Super Serena and Baja Lilies. Baja Lilies just about the leader now from Super Serena over on the far side. Steve Cawthon on Mystery Play, very close to the lead, so's Party Sighted. Midnight Air's just in behind them. Coming over now towards the stand side. They're looking for the best ground all the time on this rain-sodden turf, and Baja Lilies is nearest to us, and Mystery Play on the far side. Party Sighted comes next, then Midnight Air and Super Serena, who's lost a little bit of ground. Culture Vulture's in rear with Fern at the moment, and now Mystery Play takes it up. Mystery Play takes it up from Party Sighted. Here comes Culture Vulture with a good run, but a collision there between Culture Vulture and Midnight Air. And still Steve with the advantage, but Midnight Air coming there now to take it up, and it's Midnight Air from Culture Vulture, these two. Midnight Air in the centre has the advantage from Culture Vulture. Culture Vulture putting in a tremendous challenge all the time, but Midnight Air with the advantage. They race up towards the line. It's Midnight Air from Culture Vulture, and Midnight Air wins it from Culture Vulture with third Mystery Play. 4 came Super Sighted, 5 was Fern, 6 and 7 were Super Serena and Baja Lilies, and so the result of this Brent Walker Fillies Mile, pending the possibility of a steward's inquiry, is first number 4, Midnight Air, owned by Mr. Michael Poland, trained by Henry Cecil and ridden by Pat Edery. Second, number 2, Culture Vulture, owned by Mr. Christopher Wright, trained by Paul Cole and ridden by Richard Quinn. And third, number 5, Mystery Play, owned by Sheikh Mohammed, trained by Barry Hills and ridden by Steve Cawthon. Fourth was number 6, Party Sighted, and here it comes, a steward's inquiry. Culture Vulture and Midnight Air in the interim both get a 16-1 quote for the 1992 1,000 guineas from Ladbrokes, but a steward's inquiry.
Richard Quinn was dropped in behind here with the yellow colours and was just coming to win his race nice and smoothly when this incident occurred. You can see up front still Mystery Play, but look to the right of Richard Quinn. You see Pat Edery pulling out there on Midnight Air, gives him a terrific whack, knocks Richard Quinn right into Baja Lilies, an extraordinary knock-on effect which even goes out to Super Serena on the outside, and that, in my opinion, certainly cost Culture Vulture the race because she was travelling very smoothly at the time.
Midnight Air by far the bigger filly of the two. I thought that there was going to be a nasty accident here because, as you see, you'll see it again here. Pat's been tracking Mystery Play, and where he goes to get out here, he could see Richard Quinn was going to shut him in, and Richard Quinn actually nearly leaves the saddle on the side. Well, it knocked the filly out of her stride. Just look at the two different sizes of these fillies, because Midnight Air is quite a big filly, as Culture Vulture is quite a bit on the small side, and it's took her a long time to get her balance back again. But this time, Midnight Air's gone for the winning post, but there's no doubt about it, Culture Vulture is making ground on her all the way to the line, Julian.
Yes, I think she was unable to recover from that incident. She was travelling really well. She runs on very gamely, but Midnight Air, now running straight, runs on very tenaciously. But that was an incident which completely unbalanced the runner-up, and as Jimmy says, Richard was very lucky to stay in the plate. It's only about a length in the end, but I'm afraid the stewards may take possibly the view that Pat was a little bit careless in pulling out there.
Yes, this will be a very contentious one. Midnight Air by Green Dancer, out of Evening Air by J.O. Tobin. And Culture Vulture by Timeless Moment, out of Perfect Example by Far North. Here, betting on the outcome in the rain-soaked Tattersall's Ring, with not many people braving the elements to express their opinion in terms of odds on the likely outcome. I can hear Evans Midnight Air being offered now. Evans being offered against the winner, keeping it. Meanwhile, here are the starting prices, pending the outcome, of course, of this stewards' inquiry.
And as Peter says, pending that outcome, the result may well change, but at the moment it's first number 4, Midnight Air, 11-4. Second number 2, Culture Vulture, 5-2 favourite. And third number 5, Mystery Play, 4-1.
Sheikh Hamdan, how concerned are you by the plight, the financial plight of British racing?
Well, actually, it's not just I am concerned. I think it is all the owner, breeder, who has got connection with the racing. It seems to me the racing here is marvelous. The horse, the competition is good. But it seems that is, it has to be something done about it, particularly for the small owner, which they are, even if they have got the horse who win 3 or 4 races, he didn't cover his training fees and traveling veterinary. So it is just not, we are thinking, you know, but there is a lot of income that come through the racing, and there is benefit which doesn't get to the racing.
You yourself, of course, have already moved a number of horses to race in Australia. Have you considered taking other horses to race there, more horses?
I am afraid, yes. I think we are interested on America and Australia.
Sheikh Mohammed, your brother, he's already sent a number of horses to America, hasn't he?
I think all of us has been sending horses to America, and we start with 2 years old also now.
So what do you consider to be the fundamental needs of British racing, and how do you feel they can be achieved?
Well, there is many ways, but I think it is maybe the time of the TV not taking, but there is many ways which they can be achieved, you know. It is, actually, we are happy here. I mean, I can't say it, but I mean, happy as far as we are welcomed, and as far we are always having 1 or 2 stallion every year, which is it cover, or otherwise it is losing money.
So you're happy really to treat the game as a sport?
Well, it is as a sport we start with it, but now it is, we are getting big, and we have got a lot of horses, which is, you know, it is the horses is not always. Maybe if you are got 2 of 100 or 5 of 100, you will be very happy to it. And actually, we are happy so far.
Shadaid and Mukaddama were obviously a disappointment to you today. What do you see as the future for Shadaid?
Well, actually, if she come from the race all right, she might run in the Breeder Cup.
And Sheikh Hamdan, how committed do you feel to the future of British racing? You're happy to stay here, as you say, so long as you're welcome.
Well, actually, when you say how you're committed, we are committed here. We have got many studs, we have got many horses here, and we are happy, that is true. But we don't want to see the racing is going down, you know. You have got here marvelous competition, marvelous places, different view you move with the center in a place, and but we are afraid that is most people or most owners, they are going out. If you ask, they said there is always many horses. That is true. It is many horses there, but suppose I start 10 years with 2, and now I have got more than 150 in training. So it doesn't mean they are many owner, more owner. But if you see how many in the 10 years, in the last 10 years, how many owner went away from the racing, you have to compare the both. You don't compare just one side.
Well, Sheikh Hamdan, you're very welcome. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you. Time in the Krug Trophy, and they're running Life Watch Vision on the inside. Going up on the outside, Kivton Caboose and Ravif joining the lead too. And it's Kivton Caboose from Ravif. Tide Mark is right up there with the lead also, and First Victory the grey. But Ravif the leader from Kivton Caboose. Then First Victory, Tide Mark. Life Watch Visions just behind the lead, and Willie Carson taking a circuitous route on Nibs Point, looking for the better ground, going right down the far side. Ravif is the leader still, Kivton Caboose. Faramineur's up there with them too, First Victory. Then on the inside, Talos has made very good progress. They're racing to the mile marker now. Ravif is the leader from Kivton Caboose on the outside. Talos has gone third. Nibs Point on the outside could even be in front of those on the inner now. Willie Carson, who's gone this long way round, is certainly up with the lead, but Ravif is the leader. Ravif the leader from Nibs Point, probably second, and then Vital Clue, and then on the inside is Talos. Just behind Talos is Kivton Caboose, and Halkipus is making very good progress on the inside. Endel is towards the outer, and then just in behind them come First Victory. As we see them now, over on the right of the picture, it's Endel with Nibs Point. Towards the left, it's Talos and Halkipus, and in the center, Vital Clue. Secret Society's come there quite well. Tide Mark is well with the lead too, and Ravif is holding his place. Ravif with his white face towards the left of the picture, but Endel has taken over now towards the right. Nibs Point in the center of the picture. Tide Mark almost up with him. Then comes Telemark, and over on the far side, making good ground, is Halkipus. And it's Halkipus who's taken it up now from Tide Mark and Endel as they swing into the home stretch. They've got under 3 furlongs to run. Deposki's making good progress towards the right of the picture. It's Halkipus and Tide Mark, though, fighting it out at the moment from Endel, and Deposki making ground all the time. Halkipus over on the far side, Tide Mark in the centre. Tide Mark has taken the lead but swerved over to the far rail. Deposki is now the challenger. It's Tide Mark now from Deposki and Nibs Point. Nibs Point between horses coming there fast. Tide Mark on the far side, but Nibs Point and Willie Carson getting a tremendous run. Tide Mark and Nibs Point, it's a Kamani 1-2. Tide Mark's going to hold him at the line. Tide Mark is the winner from Nibs Point in second. It's a photo, but I think you'll find it's the 1-2. Secret and Lift and Load may have just got up to be third ahead of Toposki, and then came Endel and Dreams End. Yes, it's a photograph. It's a photograph for first place between Tide Mark and Nibs Point, and a photograph also for the minor placings with Lift and Load right in there, Dreams End. It's very, very close, this photo, in the end, between Tide Mark and Nibs Point, with Lift and Load possibly just getting up to beat Deposki. But this will be an interesting one to look at. Tide Mark, he just swerved right across the course. That could easily have cost him the race, but there was nothing within hail of him at the time. And Nibs Point put in a most tremendous challenge in the closing stages under a characteristic drive from Willie Carson, but possibly just failed by an inch or so to get up. See what you think.
Well, this was a quite extraordinary race, more like a jumping race in many ways. Horses going everywhere. Nibs Point, who led early, looked to be beaten at this stage as Hauke who stormed through to lead on the inside. Deposki came really strong in the centre of the course here. I thought he was just going to win at this point as Enderley started to weaken. You can see Nibs Point has dropped back to 5th place. Now Hauke's stamina runs out, and Tidemark hits the front about a furlong and a half from home. But there swerves very violently to the right as Frankie Dettori gives him a smack with his left hand. And now Nibs Point looks like only being 3rd as Deposki possibly hits the front.
Yes, this ground's getting very bad and loose. In fact, when Lanfranco Dettori went to pick Tidemark up, you could see him swerve badly to the right, and he got the rail there, which has kept him straight from there on in. But what surprised me, actually, was Nibs Point with Willie Carson, how she battled, how she rallied, because when they turned into the straight, I thought her chance had gone. She lost her place 4 or 5 lengths off of the pace, but now Willie's persuaded her to come up and run again. Just look at her, she sticks her head out. She's showing a lot of courage, this little filly, Julian, but I think Tidemark's just held on at the line.
She really does stay, but it's very close on the line. I agree with you. Tidemark probably just the winner, and Lift and Load just gets up.
Trotter is the very strong favourite, 15-8, was 7-4, so it edged out very slightly. Satin Flower is the only challenger, 9-2, and Montendre with Soleil Darzer and Shalford and Tabab, 8-1, all of these. Northern Goddess, 12-1. Mujadid is 14, so is Reference Light, and Time Gentleman is on 16-1, 20-1 Bar.
And here is the horse that William Haggerst hoped would give him his first classic win of the season and the 2,000 guineas, but he probably had a bit of sickness on him that day and he didn't run his race. But otherwise, he's had a fine season. Well, he's won his 2 other races. First of all, the Greenham, ridden by Leicester, and then after a lengthy absence, he came back to win the Kiverton Park at Doncaster pretty impressively that day from Satin Flower.
I was there that day, Julian, and watched him, and he really did win well. Leicester popped him out the stalls and dictated the pace all the way, and he quickened up for Leicester, going to the distance. I'm just wondering, I hope he does handle the ground, because I think you're seeing a very good horse here now he's back to his best. He's pretty effective over most distances, 8 a mile, 7 furlongs, back to 6 today, but it shouldn't trouble him.
That was Leicester's daughter, Maureen Haggerst, just on the horse's offside there. And well, it was pretty soft when he was second to Generous in the Dewhurst Stakes last autumn. I think the ground shouldn't be a problem, and probably it'll be more like 7 furlongs today. So we hope for the best. It'll be a marvellous way to end what has otherwise been a rather dismal day.
He'll be coming out of stall 9, so I think we'll see Leicester coming somewhere towards the stand side or up the middle, but more this side, because the ground, I think, does ride faster on the straight track. Just a shade and advantage this side up the stands.
Yes, in fact, I was talking to Captain Beaumont earlier in the afternoon, and he was talking about bringing the stalls over towards the stand side for this race because it's relatively fresh ground, but I think he's probably decided that everywhere's waterlogged now, so as you can see the stalls are in the centre, and I agree with you, Jim. I should think they're probably left-hand down. Here's Satin Flower, the second favourite, the filly who chased home Bog Trotter in the Kiverton Park. She was a brilliant winner at the Royal Meeting here in the Jersey Stakes. She won by 6 lengths, but the ground was fast that day. She's a daughter of Shadid. I personally don't think these conditions will suit her at all. You can see she's on the light side.
No, Satine by Round Table. I rode a lot of round tables in my time, Julian, and they like to hear their feet rattle a little bit, so I'm just wondering what's going to happen to Satin Flower here. She doesn't seem to mind it when it's riding good to a little bit soft, but I don't know how she's going to cope with this heavy ground. A little bit of a handful out there for Steve, but Steve, beautiful horseman, as you can see, just lets her get on with the job. Nice long range. She just shook her head a couple of times. Now she's found that stride. She's got quite a light action, no knee action at all. And this is usually a bad sign on this very heavy ground.
This is Sheikh Hamdan's runner, Mujadil, a very, very good sprinter indeed last year, won the Cornwallis Stakes over this course in October, but I'm afraid, like many of Robert Armstrong's horses, he's been under a bit of a cloud this season, and once again, he'd be a horse who'd probably prefer fast ground. I
saw Robert just before the first, actually, and he said, if we have rain all day, Jimmy, he said, Mujadil, I don't think he'll have too much chance. He does love to have fast ground, so it's a dangerous thing to say. He's 14-1 at the moment, but I don't think that we can give him too much of a chance today on this soft ground.
This is Shalford. Now, I think he'll handle the ground okay, and you'll probably remember he ran a pretty good race in the Ladbroke Sprint up at Haydock. He won at Newbury in the spring over 6 furlongs, and racing in the colours of David Cock, I think he'll run a good race.
In fact, in the Haydock Sprint, he finished 5th behind Polar Falcon, which was quite a good run. He was only just under 7 lengths off of the winner. He was there with a chance at the distance, but as you say, I think he won't have any trouble in this going, and he's trained by Richard Hannon. You wouldn't want to leave one of his out.
Goes down well, you can see from that action. This ground will be no problem at all. It's on a thatching, and most thatching's like a little bit of cut in the ground.
Tony Cruz in the saddle on Shelford, and as we said a little bit earlier, he's having a really cracking season, and a double yesterday at Haydock, and well, the big Group 1 2-year-old race here today, so he's really banging form. He'll soon be going back to Hong Kong to take up a winter season there, where he's been champion jockey, I think somewhere around 6 to 7 times.
Now here's Time Gentleman, very much travelled horse this. Been to Ireland, to France and to Germany, and he usually gives a good account of himself. He won at the Curragh last season, seems to handle any ground, but possibly would be slightly better on the top of the ground.
I liked him as a 2-year-old, Julian. I thought he was going to grow into a really nice horse. He's got a lot of ability, but sometimes he doesn't seem to produce it. But I noticed that John Dunlop, who trains this colt, has put blinkers on him for the first time today. And John Reed, well, when they team up, John Dunlop and John Reed, they can supply the goods.
Now here's a real mudlark. Soleil Dancer by Ferry King, runs in the colours jointly owned by Mr. and Mrs. David Mort, and he really likes to stick his toe in. He won his first 2 races this season, including the first Classic Trial, made all the running there. But he hasn't been out for 11 weeks, but that wouldn't be a problem probably, because he usually runs pretty fresh.
He's got the American jockey Pat Venezuela on him, and wouldn't it be nice if he could go back and ride a winner at Ascot, which would be wonderful. He'd have them something to tell him something about in the States. That's number 11, Soleil Dancer.
Don't quite know what Pat's saying there. He won the Derby and the Preakness in 1989 on Summer Silence, was it, Jim, I think?
Yes, I think he was voted Horse of the Year that year too, and I think he won on him something like 11 times, Julian. He's a very good rider, is Pat, and he's very much sought after in America, and well, they said when he came here he was one of the quickest starters in the business. He'll want to be pretty quick here today over this 6 furlongs. He'll be coming out of stall 6. Just keep an eye on him and see if he lives up to his reputation.
Here is Pat, who's had a wretched day. He's riding Reference Light for Lord White of Hull here, trained by Michael Stout. Michael hasn't had any luck either, I'm afraid. The ground was against his filly in the first. His filly in the fourth was withdrawn, and Deposky, after looking like winning the Krug Handicap, didn't quite get home. Well, this horse has come back to 6 furlongs from 7 and a mile, and was group placed at the Curragh, but I think might be out of his depth here.
I think 6 is his best trip, Julian, and what do you think he does like? He loves the soft ground, this horse. He's 16 to 1 for 14. There you can see Pat just putting his head in his shoulders. And I was telling you a little bit earlier on that I don't think Pat's got a bad thought in his head. I don't think that was intentional at all, really. I think he wanted to get out. And if you noticed in our following race, the horses were shifting about quite a lot on the ground. And I think when Pat said, well, I've got to ease the horse on my outside just out a little bit, I think it became exaggerated by this very, very heavy ground here. It looked very bad. It was pretty bad, but I think the ground had a lot to do with it as well.
I think what accounted against him was it was his 3rd offence of careless riding this season, following a suspension on Asari early in the season when he jumped out of the stalls and went very sharply over the rails, and on Brother Ray during the summer. So they said, well, you've had your chance. 8 days, mate. Pat used to be the enfant terrible about 15 years ago. They used to call him Polyfiller because he went for gaps that weren't there, or words to that effect. But of course the guy on his right there, Lester Piggott, All the great ones have had that flair at one stage, all that desire to do the impossible. And of course, Leicester in the 70s, or the 50s rather, was considered a very, very naughty boy indeed. Now the older statesman, and on the favourite in the Diadem. Let's check on the betting.
And Bog Trotter still favourite 7-4. Satin Flower is stuck on 9-2. De Barbe is 7-1. 8-1, two of them, Montendre and Soleil Dancer. 12-1 Shalford, that's gone right out from 8. And Northern Goddess is 14-1 with Mujadil. Time, gentlemen, 16-1, 20-1 bar.
Here's Tabab, who's third favourite now, another son of Thatching, and he ran the race of his life last time when he was second to Sarcita in the Ergo Cup, and of course Sarcita really endorsed that form yesterday.
That was a good run. She'd be coming out of stall 7. Michael Roberts too is having a good season. Michael just pulling his goggles down. Have a little bit of trouble sometimes when the weather's like this atmosphere, because they steam up very quickly, especially when you've been riding in previous races, because you've got a bit of a sweat up. There you can see Walter Swinburne in the foreground. But Michael, on number 12, Trab, just waiting to go into stall 7. Michael's a pretty quick starter too. He's been riding out of stalls for quite a long time, when you think that England was one of the last countries to adopt the starting stalls. And well, how well they've worked. A lot of people didn't like them when they first came in, but now accepted, and I don't know where we'd be without them.
That was Waterwell, who just went in the stalls. In the background we saw Osorio, the horse who incurred the suspension for Pat earlier in the season. This is Montendre, and this horse has had a good season. He was third to Polish Patriot in the Cork-Honoria Stakes at the Royal Meeting. What a long time ago that seems this evening.
He was also fourth behind Notley in the Scarborough Stakes at Doncaster, and a pretty effective sprinter, but well, I wonder if he's good enough to pop along in this Group 3.
Trained by Matty McCormack, who's had a marvellous season with Prince Ferdinand, the best two-year-old in his stable. Not many to go now in this 6-furlong dash, worth over 55,000 to the winner. Bog Trotter is firm at 7-4. 4-1 from 9-2 Satin Flower. So there are those who think she will go through the ground. 7 from 8 Tabab, the upgraded handicapper, 8-1 bar.
A little bit of a ploy here, Leicester on Bog Trotters, just hanging back a tiny bit behind the rest of the runners, Julian. Usually when you're in the stalls too long, a horse can set himself, and when the stall's open, he's a little bit back in his box, but the last one in sometimes has a bit of an advantage, because he's set and ready to go, and he's going to be the last one. Let's go to Peter.
That's it. Bog Trotter, the last in. All installed, all 16 for the Diadem. And they're running. Montendre breaks fast towards the right of the picture. Water Wells up there. Shalford showing very good speed. Tabab showing very good speed. Shalford is the leader at the moment. Bog Trotter's not far behind Shalford. Tabab, it's Shalford, Bog Trotter and Tabab, and over on the far side Mujadil in the sheepskin noseband. It's Shalford the leader, from Bog Trotter now in second, then Tabab, Mujadil over on the far side as they race down now to the 3-furlong marker. Shalford, Tabab, Bog Trotter, Mujadil over on the far side. Time Gentleman's just in behind Mujadil. Tabab on the right of the picture, Shalford in the centre, between horses, Bog Trotter, who's got it to do, Mujadil, Duplicity's coming there over on the far side. They're racing towards the furlong pole now, and it's Shalford who's made all the running so far, in the lead from Tabab. Just in behind them, Montendre putting in a run, but Shalford is clear now as they come to the furlong pole. Shalford is well clear of Montendre, Satin Flower, Tabab and Mujadil and Osorio as they race up towards the line. This looks like a one-horse race, this Diadem, with Shalford a long way clear. Montendre is cutting him down, but has got no chance of getting to him. And at the line, Shalford is the winner. Montendre is second. It's a photo for third between Satin Flower and Osorio.